Yeah, sure. Thank you. Obviously, we were excited about getting the win against a great East Carolina team on Saturday. Coach McNeil and his team are really a class outfit, and it was just an honor and pleasure to have a chance to play against them. And I was really proud of our team for getting an early lead and then holding on and finding a way to win. Praise, I thought, kind of led the way on defense and on special teams, making a ton of plays and just playing with tremendous effort. Getting the ball out, getting to the quarterback, and really just making some plays that we haven't made the last couple games. So I was really proud of him. And with that, we know we've turned our attention to an outstanding Memphis team. Coach Fuente is a coach that I have a ton of respect for. His teams know how to run the football. They put you in tremendous conflict. They have outstanding personnel. And defensively, they're really as good as it gets. I mean, they just create a ton of nightmares for you, both schematically and personnel-wise. And we have more than our work cut out for us. So we have our attention turned to Friday night, and it's going to take everything we have just to have a chance to hang in with them.
Take questions for Coach Rhule, please. *1 on your telephone to join the queue, then the operator will introduce you.
We'll go first to Phil Stockenborg of Memphis Commercial Appeal.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good, Phil. How are you, sir?
Not bad. I was going to ask you, 8 games in this season, kind of near the top of the league, went off that 2-10 season a year ago. What this means, I guess, to your program at this stage of the turnaround?
Well, obviously, I'm happy for our kids that they see some improvement. I told them, my goal is that, what I don't want though is just to be this up and down team, that beats Vanderbilt and comes out the next week and gives up 500 yards rushing to Navy, and then, is 4-1, and then goes on the road twice and plays 2 ugly games, and comes back and beats a ranked team, and then, falters down the stretch. I mean, whether we're good enough or not in each game, we'd like to play at a really high level, and we haven't always done that this year. So we've definitely shown progress. What we have to do now is show the consistency that good teams have.
And were you convinced, I guess, when you took over that, maybe you could see some kind of success beating ranked team at this stage?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of being at Temple for 6 years, and I really believe in it. I think it's just an outstanding academic university. It's an outstanding place. We live in a great city and a great recruiting basin, and I love the kind of kids we get here. We get tough kids that are hungry and grateful for what they have. So, when I made the decision to leave the Giants, I believed wholeheartedly that all the work that Al Golden and Steve had done, right before me, that we could pick it up and try to get back there. And while we're not there yet, at least we're making some progress.
We'll go next to John DiCarlo of OwlScoop.com.
You there, Matt?
Yep, I'm here. Hey, John.
All right. Wasn't sure if the line dropped you. You mentioned, the fact that you don't want this to be like an up-and-down program, and you mentioned, Vanderbilt, Navy, and all that stuff. I know it's hard to gauge as a coach, but what kind of sense do you get from the guys heading into Friday that they're able to manage the high of beating a top 25 team and then turning it around and preparing for a really good team Friday? Where do you think they are with that, or is that hard to gauge?
No, I think that their minds are right. I mean, some of the teams, we've lost to some pretty good football teams. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to sit there and say, we lost to Navy because we weren't ready, because I thought we were, I was watching Navy. I was sitting at the Dandelion and watching Navy on Saturday night, with my wife saying, Navy, that's a good football team, and Houston, that's as good a defense as we've seen, and Central Florida. So, our issues are, that we have to play really well to have a chance against teams like Memphis, and so I think our team, they're learning how to stay on track. I was so proud in the last game that in the fourth quarter the defense wanted to go back on the field. I mean, they ran on the field every time. They weren't looking at the offense to do something, and the offense was unselfish. They just kept doing what I was asking instead of what they wanted to do. So I think the guys are coming along and buying in more and more. And, if they have any doubt, they just have to turn the tape on and see Memphis, playing Ole Miss, or Memphis playing UCLA, or seeing Memphis playing, Tulsa. And quickly they'll be snapped into reality, because this is a really, really, really outstanding team.
How are you guys doing health-wise? Because I think Phil might have mentioned on Saturday that Avery Williams might be getting closer to playing. Do you know if you'll have him Friday and where things stand with any of the other guys who've been banged up?
I doubt that Avery will play Friday night. I mean, Avery's telling everybody he thinks he can go, but we practiced today. He couldn't practice. Shabazz Ahmed, he missed the game. Dion came back last week, but Shabazz missed the game. McGowan went in. He got hurt in the game. I don't know if he'll play. We're down to about 6 linemen really on the offensive line. Kenny. He rolled his ankle in practice last week, so he has a sprained ankle. He'll be out. McGowan hurt his shoulder. I don't know if he'll be out there. So, we have a bunch of injuries, but, everyone else does too, that's why we played so many guys early in the season so that they would be ready for, for these games.
Does that force you to look at burning any red shirts on the offensive line, or do you go to the guys that you had slated as backups?
Yeah, we're not going to burn anybody's red shirt, we're in it for the long haul, and the kids, we made a decision to red shirt. We did it because they're just not quite ready yet, and so, they're still not ready, so... they'll be ready. Jalen Robinson, James McHale, Aaron Ruff, they're all going to be outstanding players, but, they're not ready to step in and face this right now. So the guys we've been practicing, we're going to put them out there and see how we do.
I think you said Saturday, too, PJ's numbers didn't need to be great to win that game, and you were proud of him because he took care of the ball, and at the end of the day, he was under center for a win over a nationally ranked team. And now you look at a very good Memphis team, and that game last season gave him, I think, it seemed to give him a lot of confidence moving forward, and that was you guys beat a Memphis team on the road that had the beginnings of what you're seeing now. Do you hope that he takes this week and then looks at Memphis and says, hey, I know it's a new team, but he proved that he could beat them on the road and that maybe this is the start of something for him where he starts finding his groove and playing with some confidence and looks at what he was able to do against them last year and that kind of filters that into everything?
No, I mean I thought he played outstanding on Saturday. I thought he had his groove on Saturday. The one time I let him throw it, on the 2 minute before the half, I mean, the other team was having a hard time throwing the football. I mean, he ripped a slant. He ripped a goal ball down the sidelines and a smash in the first, the early on in the second half. In the third quarter, that he threw the ball as well as anybody can throw it, and it was clear that he can play in that rain. I mean, there was only one stat I cared about on Saturday, and that was that we didn't turn the ball over. And I decided instead of thinking like a college coach, we were going to think like NFL coaches, and I thought he did. I mean, he threw a ball away and didn't take a sack, threw it left-handed. That was as good a play as he's made all year, I thought he played really, really, really well. Got us in the right play, and to me, he had that look back in his eye. And so, if he doesn't turn the ball over at Houston, that's probably a different game. And had he turned the ball over on Saturday, that would have been a different game. So he did exactly what we needed him to do. So it's not just like, hey, he turned around and handed the ball off. And when he needed to throw it, he threw it. And I wouldn't let them do anything that they wanted to do. And that was purely on me. And I think he'll play really well Friday night.
Thanks, Matt.
Sure, buddy.
We'll go next to Dan Tortora, Broadcast Media.
Hey, Coach. How you doing today?
Good, Dan. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. I know you talked about it a little bit, but winning over a top 25 team, first time in 16 years, I know you talked about consistency, but for the current players and from a recruiting standpoint, what can that do for you in the here and now to have a game like that to build off of?
Well, I think in terms of recruiting, I think it just shows the kids that we're recruiting. I think a lot of them, they like us. They like what we stand for. They like the way we do things. They like the university. They like Philly. They like everything about it. And you're just trying to figure out, if I go to Temple, are they going to go where I want to go? Are they going to be a big time program? Are they going to do the things that that I want to be a part of? And I think wins over teams like Vanderbilt, wins like this, I think it shows the players that hey, they're trending that way. You know what I mean? They're gonna play a certain way, and they're gonna play on that stage, and that's the part of Saturday's win that while I try to move on from it with the team, I think recruiting wise we have to use it and just hopefully tell kids, hey, when you get here, this is what we plan on doing.
And then as far as having John Chaney, former Temple men's basketball coach, you had brought him up before. When you had him come in to talk to the team, what did he really say? And a second part to that, what made you make the decision to bring him back?
Yeah, and I must have said that wrong because I had a couple of people ask me that. I didn't have him come talk to the team. He talked to the team way back when Coach Golden was here. And And so that's when he talked about, hey, here's the blueprint for how you win at Temple. And he talked about Temple tough. And so I guess my point was, over the years, I kept, when I was sitting there on that plane ride back from UCF, and I was beating myself up, I was saying to myself, it's been right in front of you the whole. It's always been what Coach Chaney has said. Are we playing tough enough? Are we playing physical enough? And so, and he used the phrase TUFF, and then he had some other language that I can't repeat. About what that meant. But people have used the term Temple tough over the years. I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that came from Coach Chaney, who's a legend. And I was just me thinking back to when he spoke to the team about 5 or 6 years ago.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We'll go next to John Mitchell, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
Good, John. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Hey, listen, talk about Memphis's their running attack. They average, I think, if I'm not mistaken, close to 200 yards a game. Just talk about the challenge that they will present for you guys trying to stop them up front.
Well, first of all, they're just good at what they do, right? They have great backs. I mean, Hayes, he had 199 yards against Tulsa. I mean, he's played at a high level. They have wide receivers that can function as running backs. Sam Kraft will probably be back for the game. So they have outstanding personnel. They have a scheme that challenges you. They have some things from way back when Coach Fuente was at TCU. I mean, they're gonna challenge you in the option game. They're gonna challenge you in the draw game. So it's not just like stopping a conventional offense. They're gonna put people in conflict. And if you're a step out of place, the quarterback Paxton Lynch, he'll pull the ball down and run for 30, 40, 50 yards. He'll score touchdowns. And so that's really what makes them hard, is that they attack you both with personnel and schematically. And, it makes you play with a real disciplined focus. And, while you want to do that, you can't really cut loose and, run to the football the way you want, because there's a chance the quarterback might keep the ball. And so they're really good at what they do, and they've done it against great competition.
Yeah, and from a confidence standpoint, that final game for you guys, or that final game last year against Memphis, how valuable was that game for you all as a carryover into the 2014 season?
Well, I think for us, just to have the kids know that some of their hard work had paid off, to go out on the road after a really disappointing UConn loss, that was valuable for us to have a little bit of momentum going into the off season, and try to get started for this year.
Well, one more. How well is Sean Chandler playing for you all this year?
He's played outstanding. I mean, he goes up against the other teams, dynamic players week in and week out. He plays bump and run. He plays all the different coverages. He runs the football. He makes tackles. He makes plays. Picked the ball off on Saturday, but it was out of bounds. I mean, he's just he does all that, and he plays on special teams, and then he goes to class and does his work, and it's never a problem. I mean, he's been an absolute joy to have here.
It seems like he's always matched up against the other team's best opponent. Is that by plan?
Well, no, I mean, he plays into the boundary, so a lot of times, teams, they put their best receiver in the boundary, and then Tavon goes to the field, just because, they're just kind of how they're built. One's a little bit more, Champ's a little bit bigger, so he goes into the boundary, and Tavon plays out to the field, and both played really well on Saturday.
Thank you, Matt.
Sure, thank you.
We'll
Time for one more for Coach Rhule, please.
We'll go next to Henry Clay of CBS Radio Sports.
Good morning, Matt. How are you?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Matt, your defense, for those of us who are looking on, seems to be playing at an extremely high level, especially your Mr. Matakevich and Mr. Ioannidis. What are they doing, and how have they picked up their game as this season has progressed?
Well, I think they both probably went through a phase there for a little bit where they were maybe trying to do a little bit too much, and as a result of doing too much, they weren't doing enough, And I think after the Houston game, both Matt, Tyler, and really the whole defense has tried to settle down and just really do their job and do it with, real passion and energy. And I think that showed on Saturday. We had a bunch of guys just do their job, trust the system, trust the call that was being made, and play good team defense. And Tyler and Matt are both outstanding kids that do what you ask. And as the year's gone on, they've gotten better and better and better.
Thank you, and good luck on Friday night.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach, we thank you for the time today. We look forward to talking to you again next Monday.